You're listening to the Everything Went Black podcast.
Welcome to this week's episode of the Everything Went Black podcast. This week, we've got Will Smith and Rick Habeeb of Reeking Aura. I've had both of these guys on in separate occasions, but this is the first time they've both been on together to talk about Reeking Aura and their brand new LP, Promise of the Moon. If you're listening to this podcast, thank you, much appreciated. But you should also be listening to the other Horsemen of the Podcasting Apocalypse shows. Kicking everything off every other Monday, we've got Brandon Legion's Horror Wolf 666. Up next, we've got Jackie Smith's Into the Necrosphere. Wednesday is Everything Went Black, which you're listening to right now, as well as Iblis Manifestations. Thursday is Necro Thursday, where the Necromaniacs Horror Podcast comes at you, as well as Day 1 of Soul Knocks, brought to you by Carl Hikera. Friday, Spitball Media comes at you for an irreverent pop culture podcast. Saturday is a day off, but Carl returns on Sunday with Day 2 of Soul Knocks. Carl and I are continuing, or actually we're almost wrapping up our collaboration of Darkness Weaves, where we explore the work of Carl Edward Wagner. We finished all the Kane stories, and now we're going to move on to some of his Robert E. Howard pastiche novels. Thank you very much for all your support. It means a lot to me. This has been a long-standing project that I've been doing. And if you want to support it, by all means, continue listening, share it with your friends, give us some reviews, put it on social media, that sort of thing. Or you can also support the podcast by joining the Patreon. For as little as $1 a month, you can support the show and get bonus material. For $5 a month, you can support the show, get the bonus material, get early access to everything. And for $25 a month, you can become a sponsor. It's great to see you guys again. Hope all is well, man.
Hey, thanks for having us, Mike. Good seeing you. It's been a while.
Yeah, it's cool to have you both on, because I had, as you know, I've had Will on before by himself, and I had you on by yourself talking about Gray Skies Fallen, and now with the impending release of the new Reeking Aura record, it's awesome to have both of you guys on talking about the band. And since the last time we spoke, there's definitely been some changes, lineup changes, like things like that. So who's officially in the band right now?
Well, thanks. Yeah, it's great to be back here, man. We appreciate it. And excuse me, this is me, Will. I'm doing the vocals. That's why my voice sounds like. We just had a rehearsal yesterday, so it's
nice.
In real time we're doing this. Rick plays guitar. Terrell plays guitar. That's Terrell Granum. He's also in Thetis, and he was in Buckshot Facelift with Rick and I. Two newer members of the two latest additions to the band. TJ Kuhn on bass. People might have seen TJ working with Sentient Horror and Malignancy, filling in on bass, and he's also in a band called Trog from New Jersey with our drummer Hudson Barth. So the rhythm section really is what's new from the first album, along with the absence of Ryan Lipinski. We used to be a 3-guitar band. And Ryan left the band. We parted ways with him amicably. But then, like I was telling you before, we kind of had to start from scratch again in terms of the writing.
Yeah, Ryan's an old friend of mine too. He's a great guy. And now that we're all older in our lives here, it's nice that we can part with bandmates and it still be cool.
I always tried doing that in my life. With people, sometimes in bands, people come and they go, and you try to separate your personal feelings. It's not a personal thing, and it's good that everybody can get on board with that.
Yeah, definitely.
I encourage everybody listening to check out his other projects. I'm going to say it wrong. What was the project he did with Hudson? Was it
Rotted Tower?
Yeah, so people could check that out. That's our current drummer, Hudson, and Ryan. They did a project together, Rotted Tower, that came out.
Yeah, I got it on tape.
Yeah.
It was one of the last things I bought. I'm not really buying physical anymore, but you know, I buy for my friend's stuff. I buy my friend's stuff physical, but it's about it.
Yeah, it's prices being what they are, man. Especially if you're ordering online. You know, the shipping is it's like you pay just as much shipping as you do for the record sometimes.
Well, I've been doing a lot of downsizing in my life, and I've also got a Plex server now. So all my music collection is ripped in FLAC in the highest quality on my Plex server. So I don't have any kind of physical collection. So everything is, you know, digital these days for me.
Rick, you're probably sitting like 5 miles away from me right now, actually, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm in the Shaolin, baby. Back.
Yeah.
After a little hiatus.
Yeah, I'm just over the Gatos Bridge, man. So,
shit.
Yes.
Okay, yeah.
I was just thinking about that.
Yeah, you're about 10 minutes away from me right now.
Nice. So as a two guitar lineup with the absence of Ryan, like obviously that's made an impact on the songwriting, right?
Well, Ryan wrote out of the first record, he wrote 7 of the 8 songs. And, you know, we look at it as starting over, you know, because we had started the writing process for LP number 2, and Ryan had written a whole bunch of those songs too. And I believe, I don't want to talk out of school, but I believe those songs may have become what the Hudson what the project he did with Hudson was, Rotted Tower. So those songs got put to good use. And you know, so at that point we had to start over. We had no, you know, I had a couple songs, so I had a couple riffs, and that was it. We said, all right, we gotta do a new record from scratch.
Oh, so that explains like the lag between 2022 Blood and Bone Meal and the new record coming out.
I would think so. Yeah. I'd like to be on 2 years. 2 years would be great. Great schedule, you know, every 2 years, but I don't like 4 years. It seems like all my bands are on a 4-year rotation. I don't like that. I like 2 years, but yeah, maybe next time.
You know, sometimes like if you're on that 2-year hustle, it's like, it to me, it feels like too short of a time to write an album. I think 3 or 4 years is probably a good time, you know, to get it together.
So 3 is that sweet spot then.
Yeah, definitely. Mm-hmm. All right. So with that said, 2025's, I'm going to call it an EP because it's 3 songs, but the Fires in Deep Frost, that single, that's the new like Mark II, like Reeking Aura Mark II, right?
Well, Mark III, really, if you think about it, because we've gone through quite a few members at this point. But yeah, that was the first release with Hudson, and Hudson is a main songwriter in this band now. Hudson, the drummer, the guy that saved this band, in my opinion. You know, he came in at a time when we needed him, and you know, not only is he a monster drummer, but the added bonus, he's an incredible songwriter. So Hudson wrote 3 of the songs on the new record of the 9. So I mean, you know, it's a blessing to have this gentleman here. He looks like Thor, and he plays drums like you know, an animal. So
nice,
best thing.
Yeah, he wrote, like Rick said, and TJ, our bass player, wrote a song, and Rick and Terrell both contributed to the songwriting. So and I think everybody, what I love, and I'm just saying this because as the guy who doesn't play guitar, you know, as a little bit of an outsider in that respect of it, I think they all made it sound like it's a different band from the first album, but there's a little bit of that kind of rough, old school, doomy death that comes out in maybe a different context, and it sounds like one fluid album. There was a really intense a year probably or so of rehearsing and getting these songs tight before we went into the studio, and it was like rebuilding the band, you know, the $1 Million Man, you know what I mean?
Exactly. We even took time. We didn't play many shows over the last couple years. Yeah, we did. We played here and there, sprinkled them in, but we haven't been on a touring, you know, schedule or anything like that. But we hope to do that now when the record comes out.
Yeah, I think were you guys scheduled to play Jersey Death Fest last year? And I think you guys might have not played that, I think.
Something, I believe that was that one. We played that's the Gutter Fest, right? We played the New York Death Fest the year before, I believe, and then I think we had our lineup changes right around that time, and we had to pull back on commitments.
Yeah. So at this point, the first single is out from the new album, and that's What Only Worms Witness, and I think that sounds awesome. Now, what's interesting, kind of going off what you guys were saying, is if I listen to the new single, and then I'm going to call it the EP, there's I'm like, okay, this is like the direction of the band. Like it tells like this cool like transition, because it's still brutal, it's still, there's like, still a real heavy brutality to it, but then there's like all sorts of melody on it too, which, the melody makes the brutal parts like more intense, I think too. And then, like you were saying, Will, there's like almost like, like those like old school, like Death Doom, like guitar melodies and guitar harmonies and things like that, which I'm always big on stuff like that. So yeah, that's really cool. And if that's like what the rest of the album is like dipping into that pool, I'm like all about that, man.
Yeah, I think there was a strong desire, I guess I could say, maybe to pay homage to some of the old school Swedish bands. If I could if I could say that, I don't want to speak too much on behalf of the other guy.
No, you're right.
Yeah, just kind of like mixed in with the like I said, we didn't want to. I think people could listen to the first album and listen to the new album, and it's just one of those. It's the same band. It's just a big step, and there's a little bit of there's traces of that first album sound still kind of sprinkled in there. But yeah, there's a lot of that melody, and I would even say there's a little bit more New York style guttural kind of stomping, going on here and there. We're not a slam band, but
it has that in there too.
A little bit modernized on some of the grooves.
It's a little potpourri, this album. It's got a little bit of everything in there. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, totally, man. That's what I was hoping for. Because I mean, even on the EP, I call it the EP.
Yeah, that's what we were calling it.
There's even some like synths on there. There's an acoustic guitar, and is that stuff going to bleed into the new album?
Yeah. Yes. Now we what we do, not to spoil things, but there's like I said, there's 9 songs, right? 8 of them are rippers, and then in the middle of those 8 rippers, there's an intermission. There's like an interlude there, and that's Terrell constructed that, and that's got viola. That's got acoustic bass, I believe, or bass synth, some bass synth, cool. Actually. It's definitely, he definitely did something cool with that, where I kind of was like, yo, let's break up the rippers with, something ethereal. And that's kind of also what we did on the EP. There was the middle song there too. So it's kind of like that. And speaking of the EP, there's 2 songs on it. The 2 like songs were re-recorded on this record.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah. So they were given the treatment too. They're not just like, oh, let's just re-record. The whole plan was that EP was like a demo. That was how let's get Hudson in here and TJ and get the new lineup going. And then once we honed that, that's when we said, let's re-record those songs and make them album quality now. And we have, to your question, we have live strings on a couple of these songs too, courtesy of Ben Karras, who's the man, as everybody knows. Ben provided strings on this album too. So.
Yeah, Ben's a good guy, man, and he actually was played on a Tomb song too. He's done some stuff with us.
Nice.
Did you record that at Bobby's studio? Is that or did you record Ben?
No. We recorded at Keith Moore's studio, OK Studios in Kinderhook. That's where Gray Skies records. That's where Buckshot recorded in the past, and we at Reeking Aura we recorded with Keith and upstate in Kinderhook, and we mixed with Dan Swano. Yeah.
Okay.
So he did the
Yeah.
mix on this album here.
But on the EP
The
slash
EP
demo,
was a home mix. It was a
Really?
whole deal. Hudson, who was we found Hudson thanks to Colin Marston, the producer engineer. Hudson was Colin's assistant for a summer, I believe. And when we were looking for a drummer, he was recommended by Colin. So thank you to Colin. And that's where we got Hudson. And Hudson obviously is a good engineer. That's what he picked. That's one of his many talents. And we went to his house and he tracked the drums there. And I went and I actually did my guitars in his parents' hallway before he moved out. And I'm sure his parents weren't too thrilled with that. Guitars and death metal being recorded in their home, but we make things do, and it sounded good.
Man, that's so, like, getting a replacement drummer is like such a stressful thing, man.
And we've lucked out. Like, we've had three, really incredible drummers in this band, starting with Keith Harris and then going to Sam Sherrick on our debut album. And now we got Hudson, and we don't plan on changing. This is going to be Hudson. Please don't go anywhere, Hudson, please. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, in this type of music, extreme music, like you can't be a good band without a sick drummer, really. You know what I mean?
Exactly. You need a guy on top of things. And I was just talking today about someone else that you got to have your finger on the pulse with modern metal and the way drummers play, and there's a certain thing to adapt to moving with the times in a way. I'm not, I do know what
you mean.
Kind of what I mean. So you don't want to be stagnant, and you want guys that are always hungry to improve. And that's what Hudson is. He's young and he's always looking to improve, and he's always practicing and he's always playing drums, and that's what you want.
It's great, man. I'm looking forward to seeing the re-recorded versions of that. So when this episode comes out, the next single will be out. So that's the title track on the album, on The Promise of the Moon. So I haven't heard it yet. Looking forward to hearing it. What can you guys tell me about this song, man?
Well, it's the title track, obviously, of the album. And the theme plays a little bit on our agricultural death metal theme that we've been kind of trying to hone over the years with the artwork and the merch and stuff like that. It is a reference to fishing and to harvesting, and the cycle of the seasons and everything. A lot of that depends on the moon. Thematically, this album, it's not a concept album. I wouldn't say every single song is part of some overarching theme. But again, it's a little bit different than the first album. We tried to go with the album cover to a different season. We used the same artist, Ian Karchelin, from the first album, but we used kind of a different color scheme to represent a different season because it's a different season of the band. And this song musically, that was another Hudson one, right, Rick?
It's a Hudson song. The first single that came out was a TJ song. So the first two songs that are out as singles are from the rhythm section. The new rhythm section wrote those songs, and we are wow, so thank you guys.
They took over, man. They took over. You just got to farm everything out to some 20-year-old kids.
Yes.
And not depressed. No, and again, it's a catchy number. I'm going to be perfectly honest with you. When I heard the original demo of it, it reminded me a little bit of Castlevania, and I think that speaks to it's still Reeking Aura. It's got a little bit of that evil old school death metal atmosphere, but with some kind of refined melodies. The guitarists, make it pretty, and Terrell and Rick do make it their own once they get a hold of it and their own little flashy ways. And
yeah, because what happens is Hudson. He's a maniac. He writes the stuff on the computer, but I believe what he does is he programs with a mouse. So he'll just drag the notes, so it's just like, and then it sounds like Castlevania. It sounds like 8-bit Nintendo. What do you call that chip? There's a certain chip. Anyway, chip tune. It sounds like that. And I'm like, whoa, we got to release the Hudson Castlevania demos as alternate versions of the songs. Like, people would fucking go crazy for that shit, just to hear where this stuff came from. And,
dude, that'd be awesome. I mean,
it'll be cool. Cool thing, to put on a Bandcamp or something as a, just an extra thing or something would be cool. And you can hear how I transpose everything into guitar from that. So
and Will, do you cut vocals over those demos with the Castlevania sort of a vibe to it?
I generally just take something like that and use that to write to, with my notebook. So I know where the riffs are, where things begin and end. And then once it gets in the rehearsal room, when these guys have it on guitar and drums, I have to make some revisions usually. There's usually something a little that translates a little different in my ears, maybe from that MIDI demo and whatever. So yeah, it's the way I write things, I just need a little recording demo and I map it all out on paper. And then once I'm in the room with the guys with the microphone, it's like I said, it's a map. I'm just trying to follow my way through the song. So
yeah, it's interesting, man, because a lot of bands do like the kind of vocal pattern, whisper tracks and all that sort of stuff, where it's like, the famous James Hetfield, scratch vocals. Oh yeah, like there's all kinds of yes, like stuff like that, and then they put in there like that's like the phony vocals, and then they overlay their actual vocals on it. You know what I mean? So it does not appear that you work that way though, right? You write it out and do it live in the practice space, right?
Yeah, especially this day and age where people will leak it or like take videos of it and put it up. Man, no way. I mean, the way I've always worked is rehearsal room. Every once in a while I'll do I do have a collaboration coming out later this year with a guy in Canada who's also in a Profound Lore band. I'm not going to spill any more beans, but it's in the early stages. And that's going to be internet band. So that'll be a little bit more of just working with the demos and recording some vocals. Or when I do guest vocals on another band, I'll just do it right here on my laptop. But generally, it's all for me about getting it written out on paper. And I have little notes about, how many bars and what, leave a space here, don't sing here. And once I get in the rehearsal room with the guys, then it gets committed to memory, man. And, it's like Cliff's Notes,
But do you play? I forgot if I asked you this ever, Will, but do you play guitar? You do, right?
No.
No?
I definitely don't play guitar. I might be able to hack a couple of old Napalm Death riffs on a bass if you give me a couple of minutes. And I can keep a beat on drums, but not the way any of my death metal drummers, do it. I'm not a double bass or blast beat drummer or anything like that. So yeah, I'm very. With the music thing, I'm very limited in terms of what I can contribute to the band. Every once in a while I might have an idea for a part or something like that, but my main thing is the vocals and the lyrics and art and, just like conceptually stuff like that.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. So I guess one of the things, like, my experience of singing is I play guitar and I sing. So like when I write lyrics and vocals, it's connected to the guitar, you know what I mean? Like it's where the chord changes are and stuff like that. Now, as a guy who just sings in the band, what is your are you listening to the drums or are you listening to the guitars or just kind of like in there?
It's got to be the whole, because there's been times where a guitarist of the band tried to give me just the guitar, without any beat to it, like
yeah.
A drummer. That really doesn't do much for me because I got to know both. I got to know what the drummer's doing over that part, so I can understand. So I really got to have that demo with just like the drums and the guitar, even if it's a MIDI thing that somebody whipped up on a little program or something, I can at least write to that. If I'm going to be really honest with you, I don't really, I still listen to hip hop, but I don't really write raps anymore. I don't rap anymore. But in my late teens, early 20s, even into my 30s a little bit, I hung out with people that freestyled and wrote raps. I recorded some stuff, and I never took it as seriously as I do with the death metal bands. That's always kind of been my main priority. But when I when I get an instrumental from the guys, from they record it in the rehearsal room or these MIDI demos, whatever it is, I sit there and it's almost like writing a technical rap song, maybe, because I'm sitting there taking notes, 4 bars, 8 bars. This is in a different timing, this is in thirds, and I'm trying to plug all my lyrics in there. So I'll try to make the lyrics fit the actual parts. I don't write lyrics kind of like just to have on deck, like having a book of poetry. I usually write the lyrics to the song. And the words and the phrasing of it all will reflect the patterns of the music. If you actually mapped it out on paper, because I'm writing to the rhythm of the song like a rapper does, really, but it's to like technical death metal shit.
Yeah, no, that's interesting, man. Like I love that question to guys who are primarily just like the front man without playing an instrument, because it's like for me, it's like such an alien like sort of concept to do that, because like my mind is always thinking in terms of like my 2 hands playing riffs and then singing. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
It's like weird. You can relate too, right?
I don't think I could stand on the stage with just a microphone in my hand. Like I need to stand with the guitar. It's the only thing I know. So for me, the vocals are a secondary thing, whereas I don't really. I'm not the vocalist in this band, but so I don't consider in general, I don't consider myself a singer. It's just like a place. I'm a placeholder, Like I can get by doing it, so I do it, kind of deal.
But also, with Will, you got an entertainer too, man.
Oh my God, big time,
dude. Like some of my favorite. Will's like one of my favorite guys in the tri-state area to watch play, man. I got to be honest with you about that.
Yeah, the stage banter is great.
Yeah. It's not always. It's humbling when it doesn't go your way. I'll tell you.
Yeah, but the times I've seen you, even in Artie Brain, it's always been awesome, man. So
I appreciate it, man. Thank you. And I had to look it up real quick, just on this topic. There was on the last Afterbirth album, In But Not Of, the last song on it, Succumb to Life. I actually wrote that trying to write, and from my imagination, how a guitarist who also sings would write the vocals and do the vocal. So it's a little bit, it's not trying to be like really diverse with screaming and gutturals and it's kind of just like a mid-range voice all the way through. And I tried to make the patterns maybe a little bit more like someone who was focusing on playing guitar with, if that makes sense. Like,
yeah, it does. That's very cool.
So I kind of tried to step out, because Afterbirth is usually all about trying to step outside of your comfort zone a little bit. So I did try to see things from that perspective at one point, man. And
that's important, man. It's to kind of get out of your zone too. A lot of times, man. That's like a really important thing as any kind of musician should do that, I think.
Mm-hmm. I agree. Yeah, and that's why I always like to. If you look at my other band, and even now in this band, all the releases are different. And this time is because there was major lineup changes, but I think, knock on wood, we have the same lineup next time, which I think we will. I think that record's going to be a lot different than this record. And that's not just like, oh, let's go change for the sake of change. It's just because 2 years later or a year and a half later, you're into something different, or you're feeling something different when you write, and it reflects in the music.
I can't wait the next album. Can't wait.
Yeah,
I can't wait to hear this album.
And Jesus, I know we spoke before we started. I know, but it dawned on me, just to let the listeners hear, a half hour before we started recording, I said, "Oh my God, I didn't get Mike the album," and listen to this. Never mind, it stopped. I have about 75 G-Shock watches in my house, and they're all going off right now.
Oh yeah, because it's the top of the hour, right?
Yeah, so they're all going off. And oh my God, it doesn't stop. It totally took me out of the. Oh yeah. So getting you that record, but I think the conversation is great right now. Even without you, without hearing the album. So I'm not too bummed out.
Nah. It's more fun to bust your balls about it than actually talk about the album.
No doubt.
It's album. You didn't miss much. It's all.
Yeah, it's only 32 minutes.
It's a half hour of your life, man.
Yeah, and that's the thing. We wanted it short and quick. Like I said, ripper after ripper, and just for me, it feels, even though it's short, it's 32 minutes long or 33, it feels longer because there's so much going on, I think. There's so much going on. And I don't mean that in like a tech deathy way, like, oh, there's a million notes a minute. It's just very compact, in my opinion. It's very hits you right in the face, all the songs.
Yeah, do you guys have anything lined up by way of shows or touring or festivals or anything like that on the books that you can announce?
Yes, we're by the time this airs, we're gonna have played. We're playing in 4 days. We're playing in Staten Island, the hometown show for me. We're playing with Tombstoner this Friday the 13th. So it'll be over, but it's gonna be a monster show. Tombstoner and Festigore, those are two Staten Island bands that are making names for themselves. And then Atomic Witch and Inoculation, the two touring bands. And us. So that's a pretty stacked lineup for Staten Island. And that's good about Staten Island. There's a good scene out here, and I'm very happy to be back. And I told Jeff from Enrage, I said, Jeff, I'm back in Staten Island. So Reeking Aura is a Staten Island band right now. So you gotta understand. We're planting our flag here. I know Will don't like to hear that. It's all about, and the Jersey guys don't want to hear that. We're all about Staten Island now. No, I'm just joking. But we have that show, and then May 9th, we're playing for Ed Farsity, who's the great promoter in Brooklyn and New York City, Armageddon Productions. We're doing the Metal Wanna Fest, his first annual weed fest, where he's combining weed and death metal with bands like us. It's our record release party, actually. It's our record release show. We're gonna have our vinyl and our CDs there. And Sick Bay is playing, and Satanis. Will, who else is playing that show? You were talking about another good band.
And Carnegie from I think they're from Ohio. It's a more modern band, but I'm pretty sure it's a band with a bunch of like OG Ohio guys in it.
Yeah, it's gonna be a good show. Those are two good shows.
Yeah, and
so far.
Like, I guess like legal marijuana vendors, people like that, it's all related. It's so it's cool kind of crossover event, and it's kind of perfect for us to drop our album and that, man, right there in Brooklyn, man. Look,
yeah, that's at the Meadows on May 9th in Brooklyn. The Meadows is a great venue. That whole street right there, there's those two venues there that are awesome.
And I'm sorry.
No, so yeah, that's like the new, pretty much the spot now in Brooklyn.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like if you're playing like, smaller to mid-size like venues.
And you got all three. You got the small, you got the medium. Yeah. The Wood Shop is the tiny venue. You got the Meadows, the middle, and then the Monarchs is a good size venue for bigger acts that come through. And they got the halal cart out front. So when you're done, you can get lamb over rice.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, have you guys checked out any shows at Brooklyn Steel? That place is sick. I love it.
I've never been there. I haven't. And now that I'm back in New York, I'm going to be going to, I've already started going to, because I was living in Pennsylvania for a long time, so I wasn't going to many local New York shows, but now I'm going to be hitting a bunch of gigs around here.
Yeah. Yeah, those are the places, man, definitely. It's like, for a while there was nothing after Vitus closed, it seemed like, but, those places stepped up.
Yeah, and it's good that the guys from Vitus are still doing promotion, right? So they're still working with venues, and I think, a lot of them, they work together. So it's been good since, I don't know. It sucks that they obviously Vitus is no more, but I mean, at least they're still kind of in the scene and booking shows and things of that nature. Hopefully one day they could reopen, but I don't know what the plans are. That would be amazing. Yeah,
they're more like a company now. You know what I mean?
Right. It's like a brand.
Promotions company kind of thing, which is cool.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, sure. You gotta do what you gotta do, right?
Where's the show in Staten Island?
It's at Mother Pug's Saloon on Forest Avenue. That's like the dive local, but that place, every time I go there to see a metal show, it's packed. And when you're in a small place that's like one storefront and it's packed with metalheads and there's death metal going on, it's an intense atmosphere. So it's a good spot.
I think it had to be the second or third date that I went on with my wife was at Mother Pug's.
Nice.
It's like, we went to go see a Motorhead cover band there.
Well, okay.
Yeah.
The first time I went to see a show there was Ryan Lipinski was playing there with maybe it was Force and Fire. So we're going back, and I remember it was a blizzard, and I'm driving there, and I'm like, well, why am I driving to a show in the middle of the snow? And then I get there, and it's fucking packed. It was packed. I was like, this place is crazy. There's people showing up in a blizzard. It was great. And
Well, for
like
any you guys out there who don't live in the tri-state area that are listening to this, Sick of It All played there.
right.
Agnostic
Jeff booked that
Front,
show.
yep.
Yeah.
Agnostic Front played there. And so it's like kind of like I would say a landmark really in some ways, right?
It's kind of getting there, like in the
Yeah.
it's the Staten Island. It's like the only place, as far as I know, because Jeff books in multiple places. Jeff is from the band Enraged, the hardcore band from back in the day. They're still around. He would love to hear. Are you still playing gigs? That people ask him that. And he loves that when people ask him. But Jeff's been, he booked over the years at Dock Street, which was a venue back on Bay Street. All these different venues, and some of them they come and they go. You know how these establishments are, and Jeff's been doing this 30 years, so you gotta find different places. But it looks like Pugs he found a good spot with Pugs, and the shows are good. There's a vibrant metal scene, which surprised me because when I started around Staten Island playing metal, 30 years ago, there was not a metal scene here.
Well, there was some of the Evoken guys are out there, right?
Right. Yeah, John. Well, John's
Well,
no
he's
longer.
Bayonne.
Yeah, right. But he grew up here, and
Yeah.
we grew up together, kind of in a way. So I've known John for 100 years. I've known John longer than any other person in the scene. I've known John since I'm 5 years old. That's crazy.
And like a long time ago, there was this like hardcore band called CR that it was from Staten Island, I think.
Right.
Yeah, they're like Mike D was in that. And
Will, doesn't Tom know that? Tom talk about that band, CR?
Yeah.
And I joke like it's Craig Rossi, But yeah, this hardcore, Staten Island has hardcore roots. Back in the day, we had great clubs. We had the Red Spot. Death played, not that they're hardcore, but I mean the band Death played, and Sepultura played here. And it was crazy that there was a scene. It was like Long Island had the what was that place? The Sun.
there's a couple places on Long Island though.
Yeah,
Sundance.
Sundance.
They were all before my time.
The Roxy, yeah, right. So that's what I'm saying. There was these places that these legendary bands played that they no longer exist. But yeah, we had a little scene for a while. It died out, and now it's back. So I'm happy about that. Shout out to Jeff.
So Will, what's going on with Heavy Hole?
Not much, man. We're kind of on hiatus indefinitely for a while now. I got to a point where it was getting real tedious for me to meet the deadline and put out new episodes. I mean, we all have our different balance, doing our creative stuff, our work, and everything. And I was really in a point where I felt like I wasn't focusing on Afterbirth and Reeking Aura as much as I should be and wanted to. Both bands were coming up with a new. Afterbirth just tracked our new album. That's going to be coming out later this year on Willow Tip, and so this last summer going into fall, I just got kind of bugged out, man. I was doing all these podcast interviews and going full steam with the Heavy Hole, and I guess I just kind of like reached like a stopgap in a little way because I also transferred to like a different like position in my job recently, and a lot of stuff changed, man. So Heavy Hole's probably not gonna be as regular as it was, for a few years there, for a while. We're planning on maybe doing a few interviews every once in a while and dropping them sporadically. But this is like it's kind of like a new period now because Tom, who was like my loyal engineer, producer. Nothing would have happened without him behind the scenes all these years of Heavy Hole podcast. He is in a few bands now, and he's like a budding tattoo artist. So he's kind of moving on, with what he wants to do creatively. You know, so it's just, I guess it's just kind of a period where well, I wanted to put it down for a little while and focus on my bands, which was like what I've always done. And for a while, I guess maybe I got a little bit too caught up in the podcast to where like I lost touch with doing the music, you know. And like I said, everyone's got their own balance of that, and what you do outside of music with your job and career and family and all the other stresses of life affects that too. So that's just my personal sob story about it, man. So Heavy Hole's a little bit of a hiatus. Probably going to come back sporadically, and maybe one day I'll even pick it up again and drop an interview every week. We dropped an episode every week consistently for about I'd have to go back and do the math, but probably about 5 or 6 years there. So I'm proud of that, and I'll always be proud of everything we did. And you haven't seen the end of Heavy Hole podcast. Just check for my bands this year. That's all I'll say about that.
Yeah, it gets hard, man, especially scheduling too, man. It's like trying to find people to talk to every week. It's kind of hard sometimes,
Well, good thing with us is we got like 40 bands between us, so you can have all of us on in different, different ways.
Well, yeah, like I said, I got another project I'm working on behind the scenes with another artist out of Canada, and just there's always something on the horizon. My other band, Exsanguinated. You probably haven't seen the end of that. It's just on a little bit of a hiatus. So I guess you could say that I just need to take some time and kind of like get in touch with being the vocalist and the lyricist and the singer again and enjoying it instead of maybe it feeling like a chore, because underground metal, underground death metal, like I've always done, like we do, man, if it becomes a chore, then what are we really doing here? You know what I mean, man? It's more about getting in touch with something we always loved and the sense of community and the creative outlet. So that's, it was just time for me to take a break from the podcast, bro. And I'll be here doing my bands. It's not like I'm just on sabbatical from the whole scene and I joined a cult or something,
So this project with the this Canadian fella, so is it all right? I know you can't say who it is, you can't get into too much detail about it, but it's another guy that's in a band on Profound Lore. Is that what it is?
Yeah, that'll narrow it down a little bit. But really, yeah, we're just working on it. Because I haven't talked to him about divulging it or releasing it or announcing that. We have a name, kind of a little bit of a concept, and he shot some songs my way. It's I don't think it's going to be anything unexpected from people that are familiar with me and him. It's going to be in that kind of like death metal, maybe a little bit leaning into grindcore territory. The vocals might be guttural, big shock. But yeah, and we're looking for some literary references for lyrics, so it's going to be highbrow.
Shit.
At master's degrees only allowed. But yeah, that's about it, man. Again, like I said, I haven't really talked to this other person about announcing it or talking about it in public, but I just there's stuff behind the scenes. There's always some stuff behind the scenes, and then there's even stuff that like something I can say, the group Implant Soul, which is, I guess you could say it's kind of based out of different parts of Europe. It's a Ukrainian gentleman. I interviewed him for one of the last episodes of Heavy Hole podcast. I am dropping several interviews coming out. So there's going to be like about 5 or 6 interviews that I have on deck that I'm going to drop in the next few weeks. So there's going to be some action there. And one of them is with the guy from Implant Soul. And I did vocals on one. So he kind of they did an album a year or two ago where they had a different singer each song, and I was lucky enough to be asked to do one song with them. I'm going to be doing a song on their next album, so there's that too, man. So I guess when you talk about Heavy Hole, I still love it, I'll still do it, but I had this vision like in 2011 where Artificial Brain was kind of doing our thing at that point and bubbling up and writing songs, and Buckshot Facelift was still going, and I said I want to have a discography. I want to have a catalog. I want my legacy to be all this music. I looked up to a lot of those Norwegian guys, not the sketchy ones. Just like if you look more like if you look at a guy like Hellhammer and his Metal Archives, or Isan from Emperor, and all the solo albums. Not that I'm a musician like those guys, but I contribute what I contribute, and I want to do as much as I can, and I want that Metal Archives page to stack up with quality material, that I'm very fortunate to work with the musicians I work with.
I feel that. So, and now it's good that Buckshot is on there.
Hey, yeah, Rick got Buck. I once got an email or a message from somebody on Metal Archive stating that Buckshot Facelift fell more on the punk side of grindcore than so we weren't allowed on Metal Archives.
Oh man!
So I protested.
Rick got us in there. He got us. He busted us stuck in the kitchen.
Yeah, because once Ulcer Island came out, that album was heavily, had a lot of death metal in it. The last Buckshot record, actually, after Terrell and I joined, the last two releases kind of shifted a bit, So they were like, okay, we're gonna have to. It was begrudgingly, we're gonna have to put these guys in, but it's good. It's good. It's another feather in the cap, because that band is slept on, in my opinion.
Oh yeah, definitely, man. I'm kind of taken aback by the more punk comment, man. Honestly, I never really thought of Buckshot that way, but and also, who the fuck is this guy to say something like that? You know what I mean? It's like, oh, it falls more on the punk side of grindcore. It's like, and I'm trying to think, is Phobia in a metal arc? They have to be, right?
Well, yeah, they're like because they have that old Relapse cred.
Yeah.
I'm sure they're, and also I feel like nowadays they've relaxed those standards and accepted a lot more grindcore. This was probably about 10, 12 years ago, maybe.
Hey, some of the Phobia stuff's pretty punk,
Yeah, it was like, because then we'd have to list every power violence band or something like that.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, like Capital's Casualties or something like that.
It's in here though. I just looked it up. Yeah, Phobia's in there, man.
Okay. All right.
I mean, I don't, who knows where they draw the line. I think Whitechapel was in there when Buckshot came around. It was like, we just laughed at it and had fun with it, man. That's what it is, man. And Buckshot, before Rick and Terrell joined, if you listen to like some of the first album and the demo, it's kind of grindy and there's some death metal influence, but those were like 1 minute power violence songs for the most part. So I mean, I can. I get it. If you're some dude on a computer assembling databases all night of metal bands and you just want to leave somebody, maybe the Grind Band is the one.
So what's with Afterbirth? Like, when is that coming out? The next record? You said later this year, right?
I don't think we have a set date from the label, but it's all tracked. I'm literally tomorrow night. I'm literally going to Full Force Studios with Joe Cicada, who's done a lot of work with Suffocation, Internal Bleeding, live work with, does live sound for Cattle Decap and all these crazy bands, Misfits or whatever. So, he's just a Long Island guy, Full Force Studios is in Suffolk County. So, is all of Afterbirth. We practice in Suffolk County. We all live in Suffolk County, which for some context, that's just a little bit east of it's like the easternmost county of the two counties that make up Long Island. It's another out to Queens and the five boroughs for us is a little bit more of a drive, a little bit more of a trek. I loved going out to Colin Marston's studio in Queens, but this recording at Full Force Studio in Islandia was like going into your backyard and recording it away for us. So that was really great. And we don't have a date yet, but it's pretty much all tracked and in the bag. We pretty much started writing this album. Cody probably started writing the songs before the last album even came out. And it's just, I think if you stuck with Afterbirth this far in our last few albums, maybe you're not going to be shocked, but there's definitely some surprises. There's a lot of brutal, guttural, technical, blasty death metal, and then some, and then there's some extra shit. So it should be on the Willow Tip assembly line. And we're still pretty early in the year here, so I'd be surprised if it takes over a year to come out.
Now, Afterbirth is like kind of like a long-standing project for you. There's been like different sort of hills and valleys in like the productivity of that band, right?
Well, yes, yeah. For me, I've been in the band 10 years, really. This year is
yeah.
I joined in 2016, but that band dates back to 1994.
I didn't realize it went back that far.
Yeah, the three other guys, Dave, Cody, and Keith, they're a few years older than me, and they used to play like those venues that we were just talking about a few minutes ago. The Roxy and some of the other Long Island venues and venues in the city that were a little like 4 or 5 years before my time, and that Afterbirth demo, Psychopathic Embryotomy, it has a bit of a cult following in the brutal death metal scene. It seems to be getting a little more recognition nowadays. People like Jimmy from the Block on YouTube, that kind of scene, the younger crowd of guttural death metal people are into it, so that influenced me a lot in the 90s as a teenager. That was like one of the first things I ever heard. And then flash forward to 2016, they were looking for a singer, and we're kind of aware of me, and it's worked out ever since. This is going to be my 4th album with them. Tough to say. Yeah, tough to, because it's just they're very old school guys, and it's just constant writing, constant all in a room with each other every week at the rehearsal studio or every other Sunday like clockwork.
4 albums in 10 years. That's pretty good.
Yeah. I mean, those guys just, they love music. They love writing and playing. It's and like I said, it's a very old school attitude, old school kind of workmanship attitude. It's all about being in the rehearsal room and banging it out and getting it done, getting all the nuts and bolts where they got to be of the song. And, so those guys really inspire me a lot. I got to live up to that, and I got to live up to that energy and that way of doing things with Afterbirth. And they push the experimental stuff and the proggy stuff every album too. So I got to try to ground it with guttural vocals and death metal vocals for the death metal people and the people that go back to the old demo. Like, I love that old demo, but there's a little bit of everything on this album. It gets pretty crazy. So
yeah, I'm looking forward to checking that out.
Yeah.
What about Gray Skies Falling for you, man? Any work on that and on that front?
Yeah. Let's see. Yesterday was 2 years to the day that we put out our last record.
It's been that long ago.
Yeah, 2 years. And since then, we did that same year, we did a 2-song EP, which was re-recordings of old songs. And now we're booked, or we're booked to record another EP. Well, it's a split. And it hasn't been announced yet. We haven't said anything yet, but it's a split with the awesome band, and we're gonna do 3 songs, 2 originals and a cover.
Oh.
And both bands are gonna. I guess I'll spoil it. Both bands are gonna do a Paradise Lost song, and we're gonna do that. And so it's gonna be a doom kind of like driven thing, even though our songs aren't really that doomy, I guess, now that I think about it. But what do you call it? So yeah, we're doing that, which we're very excited about. So we got Craig Rossi back. Craig Rossi's our original keyboard player, who was in the band from basically the beginning until 2015, and then he sat out 10 years and he did his own thing. He has his own band, Drift Into Black, and he's got a lot of records he's done with that project, and now he came back to Gray Skies. So we're back to kind of our full powers. It was interesting, we did 2 records with no keyboards, and he came back for live here and there. We would have him. He played Vitus with us, and he did when we recorded those 2 songs last year. He came back for that. So it's been he's always welcome, and now he's back. So we're going to do that EP, and then we're going to ramp up the writing for the next record, which I really hope to be finished with writing by the end of this year and in the studio. You know what I mean? That's Gray Skies. And speaking of Craig Rossi and myself, we're starting a new project called Winter's Epilogue with a bunch of dudes. Ben Karras.
Oh, nice.
Is going to be in that, and Sam Sherrick, who we haven't talked about this in a while. I hope he still remembers, but he was going to play drums, and TJ from Reeking Aura is going to play bass. And this is like when Gray Skies, sometimes there's ups and downs with that band. And during one of the downs, I was like, let's do something let's do something else for a little bit. And that's what this was. So it's in that kind of Gray Skies lane, but maybe a little more doomy. It's just a little more doom metal, I guess, than maybe like more old school Gray Skies Falling, I guess, kind of if I want to think about it. So that project we're gonna get going, and that's called Winter's Epilogue, which was an Opeth lyric. So I stole that from Opeth, and yeah, and that's it. That's what I've been doing.
You said both bands are doing a like on that split. Both bands are picking a Paradise Lost song cover.
Yes, because the other band that we're gonna the other side of the split, they were gonna come to the table with two originals and the Paradise Lost cover, and we're like, all right, we're gonna do the same thing then. That'll be sick. And I was like, in my head, I was like, should we both do the same song? That would be interesting. But then I was like, nah. Let's each pick a song. I think they're doing an old song. We're doing like a new, like a not new, but it's like a 10-year-old song from them, but like a newer era Paradise Lost song. But
yeah, I was gonna say you could go through a lot of different eras in that band, you know.
Yeah, well, we're not gonna do the Depeche Mode stuff. You know what I mean?
I think that stuff's pretty good.
Craig Rossi, my keyboard player, loves that stuff.
Yeah.
Host was that Host, and,
Host, yeah.
And there was that other album. I don't remember, but yeah, so he loved that stuff, you know, because it was keyboard driven and all this and that. But I remember, you know, because Draconian Times was one of my favorite albums of the 90s. You know, I loved Paradise Lost up until that record. And then 1 Second came out, and I guess it was like 97. And I was like, oh man, it was like one of those. I can name 10 bands from the 90s that just broke my heart. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm wearing a Metallica shirt. I'm wearing the same shirt I wore yesterday to practice, by the way. But, you know, talking about bands that break your heart, you know what I mean? And Paradise Lost was one of those bands, but they rebounded nicely. And hey, every band doesn't have to put everything out for every person. You know what I mean? My whole thing is evolution, and that's what they did, and that's great. But it just wasn't for me.
Their album that came out their new album from last year is fantastic.
Yeah, they're sick. They're so sick. They're so heavy, and they you know, they're still the kings of doom. Like, you know what I mean? They can do that.
There's like that was one of my top albums of the last year, that new Paradise record, and there's like moments on there where it's like, you know, heavy. It's got like this, you know, more old school, like compared to some of the other records that came out recently. But there's like almost like a fucking like a Zeppelin vibe on some of the songs too, man. You know what I mean?
Hear that.
Yeah, there's like an old school, like old school hard rock like vibe to a lot of it too, which I really like.
And they retain the heavy production, and they could still pull that off in a way, kind of.
Yeah, I love that, man. That's awesome. That record's great. It shocked me actually how good it was.
Yeah, that's speaking of Craig, that's one of his favorite albums of the year last year too. That's a great album. A lot of great Doom albums.
The new Evoking record too, man.
Yeah, fellow Profound Lore label mates, you know, and you know, people think of Profound Lore, they don't think of Doom, I guess, but maybe they should now because of Vulcan, and you got Godthrone from the UK, who's also awesome, and I know they got a new record coming out on that label, so yeah,
they put out a lot of different stuff over the years, Profound Lore.
That's
which is kind of cool. You know, it's like a variety of different types of sounds, and you know, Portal was on Profound Lore, like
Paul Bearer, yeah.
You know, even a band like Photocrime was on there. You know, like, which is like, you know, way different than any of the stuff that we're talking about. You know,
Yeah, Chris is he's got good taste. You know, eclectic taste as well. That label is great. You know, he knows how to pick them. In my opinion, he knows how to pick some good artists.
Yeah.
Didn't also our other friend, his other band signed with Profound Lore, right?
Right. Gentlemen in our band. Yeah. Terrell. Speaking of Terrell and Thetis is now on Profound Lore as well, and their new record. I don't know. It's coming out on that label in short order, from what I'm told. Yeah, and that band is awesome. That band,
nice.
All those guys, man. I call them the young sups because they was young and supple and amazing on guitar. And I used to watch these guys, and now they're older, but they're still great. And their new album, from what I've heard, like I've heard a little bit of the demos. Like if you like the first one, it's again evolutions. You know what I mean?
I haven't heard it. It's Thetis.
Thetis, yes.
I gotta check that out. Definitely,
yeah,
I'll check that out tonight.
That's nuts. That first album was on. What was it? What's that label, Will?
A Maggot Stomp.
Oh yeah, Maggot Stomp. That's right.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, congratulations on the forthcoming record, guys. And from what I've heard so far, it's awesome.
Thank you. We're
and,
very psyched about it, man.
Yeah, dude. I'm looking forward to listening to the whole thing, and I'll probably get my pre-order in. Definitely.
We're still gonna send it to you now.
Yeah.
No, but I mean, I like to
now.
I like to get the vinyl. You know what I'm saying?
We gotta get it to you, man.
Well, yeah, and we're doing things backwards. We're going to send you the record in about 15 seconds.
No. Don't send me. Just send me digital, and I will buy the record. I'm not looking to get some handouts.
The record is going to be something else because it has the beautiful cover art on which is a highlight for us because we love that cover art. And Will's the one that found this guy. He's in Moldova. Moldova. So I mean, you find a gentleman that can paint like that in Moldova. That's how the internet has changed this world, right? And he's made a difference on our records. People are already saying how beautiful the album cover is. Point being, when you buy that record and you unfold the insert of that record, it's going to be a 24 by 24 poster of the album cover on there. So that's a little thing that we threw in there. Beautiful artwork.
That's some like Carpathian, that's like where like vampires or werewolves are from, like Moldova and stuff like that.
Right. Yeah.
Got that vibe, and the artwork's got that. Even his brighter, happier, like everyday pieces have a very haunting quality to them, man.
Watercolor artist. Yeah.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I found him. I was just looking for different artists, maybe that hadn't done a bunch of metal albums already, and maybe had a different, like I said, we have the agricultural death metal thing. It was just a kind of a vibe we're trying to put out there, a bit of a rural agricultural homestead. What do they call it now? Nowadays the young people would call it cottagecore, but yeah, that's what we're doing, man.
On the Promise of the Moon, that seems like it kind of the title lends itself to like some haunting, like visuals. Excited.
There's a lot.
Is the let me see here. I think on iTunes you can see the album cover kind of small, but yeah, check that out.
Our social media, right? So the album cover's been out there, right?
Yeah, it's on our Instagram and on our all that stuff.
Yeah, people can check it out.
Whereas the first one was like autumn and orange tones. This is more winter and blue and very cool. Yeah, see if you can find the cool owl too.
There's an owl hidden in the artwork somewhere.
I don't know if he's hidden, but he's there. And he also makes an appearance in the first video, at the very end of the first video, a little Easter egg. If you look at that, you'll see the owl from the album cover make an appearance.
Now, is that video coinciding with the release of the second single, or is that coming out?
The video I speak of is the first one, What Only Worms Witness. There was the owl at that one. The next video, which is coming out on the 17th, which is yesterday.
As we're listening to this, it'll be yesterday.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. That is just it's just this YouTube kind of static image of the album cover with the song over it kind of deal. Every other song on this record, we plan on doing a video for in some facet. We should have had one ready for the second single, but it's okay. But every other song is going to have something very cool. We were already working on things, and we have guys that we work with that are eager to make some cool videos for us. So those are going to come down the pike too.
Are these
Maybe not
guys
every song, but
are these guys you know personally? Like,
yeah, like Craig is he's very
shit.
talented. Talk about Craig again. Very talented with video editing and things of that nature. He did all his videos for his band. He's done the Gray Skies Fallen stuff. He's done all the Reeking Aura videos so far. And also Will's got a buddy, Adam Rotella, who dabbles in Will, maybe you want to explain Adam's craft.
He makes lo-fi gore movies. That's what.
Oh hell yeah!
Like kind of like very schlocky B, like what you call B horror movies. You know what I mean? He's very
VHS kind of stuff, right?
Yeah. Very very campy, homemade gore, schlock gore movies. That's his thing. He's done a lot of them now. He's dabbled in that, made short films. He's people might know him as he's kind of infamous in the noise scene for doing Anal Birth and a lot of other projects over the years since the 90s. But he's kind of found this second act in life as a low budget gore movie director, and he agreed to take on one of our songs.
Yeah, it works perfect for us.
Music video. So I'm looking forward to that. I've been kind of brainstorming with him. So we're gonna.
Well, can you do me a favor and send me a link to his stuff? I'd like to check that out, man.
Absolutely, I'm
nice.
Got some stuff on YouTube, and yeah, absolutely, man. He's yeah, and we're looking forward to that. And then there's just a couple other ideas. We had for visuals for the album, just to how it is nowadays. We want to keep things percolating on social media and on YouTube.
This weekend at the show, we're gonna. I'm sorry, Will. We're gonna have one of the songs filmed. We're gonna do a video, and the footage will be from this show coming up this weekend in Staten Island. Live video kind of deal. Old school music video. But yeah, so things like that. They're not all gonna be the same. One might be a live action video. One might be the gore on VHS video. One might be some cool animation. We mix things up.
We could do something like the Beastie Boys Sabotage. That would be my dream. But I'm no promises. I don't know if we can pull that off.
We all have to get sick mustaches.
Dude. Well, one of you guys could be what's his name? Alessandro Allegri, or what his name is.
I'm not familiar.
Alessandro Allegri as himself.
One of the characters. Yeah, I got you. Yeah.
That's funny, man. Well, dude, thanks for joining us this evening, and looking forward to hearing the new album. And,
thanks for having us, man. We're playing most of it this week. We're playing most of it in Staten Island.
I don't keep your eye out for me.
We're going on at 10.
Watch your back.
He's good. You guys see the back of Mike's head as we start playing. He's out, man. No, I'm just kidding, man. We really do appreciate you having us on the show, though, man. Thank you.
Hell yeah, man. I saw you coming up with what's their name?
Replicate.
Who's that?
Yeah, Replicate.
Jesus, what's their name? We toured with those guys. That's gonna be such. Yeah. That's what I was gonna say in Albany, right? Did you play in Albany or?
Yeah, we're just doing like a handful of shows. And
so I didn't think you were touring about. I thought that was like 2 years ago. You got to understand, the last 6 months of my life have been in the utmost blender right now. Like I'm kind of coming through a lot. And there's records from my favorite bands that I haven't listened to yet.
That's all good, man. I was just busting chops there. No. The funny thing though is like that run of dates that we're doing was really put together to play in Montreal. Like we wanted to go back up to Montreal because it's always a great time up there. So out of all the days of the year that we could have played, we picked the same day that Emperor is playing in Montreal.
Fuck.
So it's like So we're not playing Montreal this run. We're playing like Quebec City. We're still. I imagine a lot of people are still going to go to the Emperor show from there.
That's we were supposed to play Canada. My other band was supposed to play Canada 2 times, and both times they got canceled. So I guess we're not fit to play Canada. But I always wanted to, and I was looking at that run with Replicant because Ite is awesome. Yeah. All those dudes are great, man. I was like, I'm going to go to one of those shows. And are you playing Philly?
You're playing Philly.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the first night. Yeah.
What day is that by chance? Because
it's a weeknight. It's like a Wednesday or something like that.
Okay. Yeah. Well, the Phillies, in hop, skip, and a jump from Staten Island, so we'll see what we can do. We'll see.
Yeah, living out here, honestly, I gotta be honest with you, man. Like a lot of times I'll go to Philly instead of going to a show.
Hour and a half, right?
Yeah, it's like an hour and a half. And depending on what venue it is in Philly, it's like you don't got to kill yourself to find a parking spot. You know what I
You
mean?
park in the street sometimes,
Yeah.
or you
Yeah.
park in a lot, and it's not.
Or a
Yeah.
lot. And it's not expensive like in New York though, you know what I mean?
Yeah, so and I work from home sometimes on Thursday, or all the time on Thursday, so maybe I can pull that off. You said it's a Thursday night?
Wednesday night.
A Wednesday night, good. So I'll be there, Mike. How about that? I'll see you in Philly.
That's awesome, dude. Looking forward to seeing you, man.
Hell yeah.
All right, gents. Have a good evening, man. Take care.
You too, man. Thanks a lot, buddy.
You got it. Bye.